tonight's big stories. At least 5 dead and dozens more missing in the wake of Super Typhoon Egay. The storm has left thousands more displaced and millions of pesos worth of agricultural damage.
India bans rice exports ahead of the El Nino season, triggering panic buying in the West. Problem is, the Philippines is among the biggest importers of rice from there.
And President Marcos meets with top Malaysian businessmen in Kuala Lumpur to entice them to invest here in the Philippines. Already, a Malaysian dairy company says it wants 200 to 400 hectares of land in Batangas or Laguna to set up a farm.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regile.
I'm Riza Diaz.
And I'm Sean Yao.
Straight into our top story, and Typhoon Egay has left the Philippine area of responsibility. Local governments are now busy with cleanup and damage assessment efforts.
That's right. We really saw, I think, today a lot of videos coming out from northern Luzon, bridges. Of course, you can see the bridges and the water level from the rivers are there. Just massive flooding everywhere in places where it usually does not experience that much floods.
Right, because we were talking to Governor Manuel Mamba, who said that this is the first time a typhoon of such intensity has hit the area.
Especially the northern,
I should say Cagayan,
yeah,
yes,
the northern
Cagayan
part.
Governor.
Well, we heard from experts even prior to, the rainy season that this is what we are expecting with the El Nino,
right.
extreme weather.
Extreme
More,
weather.
much more extreme
Very
weather.
evident in
Hottest
that.
of hot and the wettest of wet seasons. Well, taking a closer look at the damage, as we were saying, landslides hit Baguio City after non-stop rains over the past couple of days. Residents said the landslides hit in the wee hours of the morning. Clearing operations have started in several localities, and authorities are looking to fully restore power in the area now. Meanwhile, nearly a dozen people remain missing in Apari, Cagayan. The Philippine Coast Guard is searching areas near the Cagayan River. The province is still on flood watch as waters from nearby provinces flow into the area.
Now in Dagupan City, strong winds ripped apart the ceiling of this gymnasium. Now there have been no reported casualties, but the gym has been closed off for the time being. In some areas, residents had to wade through knee-deep floods. In Binangonan, Rizal, dozens have been reported dead after a boat capsized due to strong winds from Typhoon Egay. Initial reports state that the passenger boat capsized some 50 yards away from Barangay Kalinawan. At least 24 people are reported dead, while there are others injured and still missing. Search and retrieval operations are still underway.
So again, most of those things that you read, girls, and the photos and videos that we saw, of course, across northern Luzon. The Babuyan Islands, though, I've always wanted to go there, but obviously signal number 5.
We also did get reports of damage there.
But not so
because
much
of the typhoon's
visuals.
track upwards, right, towards the north. And the RMC says 5 were dead, but again, we had reports of casualties as well in Binangonan because of the capsized boat.
And there still is a lot that are missing and injuries.
I think for now, the damage to property or infrastructure has been pegged at 1.7 million pesos so far, but the damage to agriculture definitely much bigger than that. As we know, Cagayan has just started their planting season, so about, I think, 53 million for now.
Just about the last thing we need at this point in time, with the onset of El Nino season, and we're already talking about food insecurity. But anyways, meanwhile, several innovations for disaster management were spotlighted at the Handa Pilipinas Expo at the World Trade Center in Pasay City. Some of the products featured at the expo include a vibroscope with a microphone and camera that can be used in search and rescue operations in case people get trapped or buried under debris after an earthquake or landslide. There was also a foldable water tank shown at the expo, which can collect rainwater, which will then go through filtration or purification so that the water can be fit for drinking. And then check out this water ambulance that can be used for rescue missions when needed. The DOST emphasized that the importance of emergency preparedness, stating that it's important to assess the risks that could hit certain areas and so residents should have items to readily address them.
Science, technology, and innovation, when applied and used properly, can actually save lives and livelihood. And that is why we are promoting the integration of science, technology, and innovation in all aspects of governance. The resources are there, but we need to make sure that these are made available or they access.
Now, what does the DOST plans to do with these technological innovations on disaster risk reduction and response? Let's find out from JC Cosico. JC, go ahead.
Riza, the goal of the DOST with this expo is to increase the awareness of different stakeholders on innovations that can be used by LGUs for disaster response. The country, after all, is frequently affected by natural disasters. In fact, the Philippines topped the list of nearly 200 countries with the highest disaster risk last year. The index score of the Philippines in the World Risk Index 2022, which measures a country's exposure and vulnerability to disasters such as earthquakes and floods, was 46.82, just above India and Indonesia. With this in mind, the agency plans to have a program to bring these projects closer to LGUs or even private donors to scale these innovations even further. Back to you.
Thank you, JC Cosico.
Now, the Ilocos region likewise saw serious damage from Typhoon Egay. Let's get some updates from on the ground. We have Mon Gualvez reporting to us from Vigan in Ilocos Sur. Mon, hi! Kamusta na ang lagay ng panahon dyan? Humina na ba ang ulan? May visibility na ba? At ano ba ang naging epekto ni Egay?
Ako, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang buhos ng ulan at may kasama pa yung hangin dito sa malaking bahagi naman ng Ilocos Sur. Pero kumpara nito mga nakalipas na araw, mas humina naman na ito ngayon. Pero syempre, iwan pa rin ito ng mataas na baha sa malaking bahagi ng probinsya. As you can see at the back, marami pa nakapwesto ngayon dito ng mga modular tents kung saan 42 families dito sa Vigan ang nandito ngayon sa loob ng Provincial Farmers Livelihood Development Center Capital Grounds, kung saan dito muna sila nanatili dahil nga kahit humupa na raw yung tubig baha or baha sa kanilang lugar, they are worried na baka tumaas na ang tubig dahil nga wala pa ring tigil kahit hinana. And we're going to say or to compare itong bagyo daw ng Egay, the previous typhoons that they have experienced. Magkukumpara daw yung lakas ng ulan sa Typhoon Feria noong 2001 habang yung lakas naman ng hangin makukumpara yan sa last 2018. Sean.
Alright, Mon, medyo choppy ka, no? Siguro hindi pa nga ganun kaganda yung lagay ng panahon dyan. Alam naman natin na puputol-putol ang signal sa mga panahon na yan. Pero maraming salamat sa iyong ulat at sa update. Mag-ingat kayo dyan, Mon Gualvez. Now, Typhoon Egay may have already exited the Philippine area of responsibility, but guys, get this. There is another cyclone that is seen to enter the Philippine area of responsibility in the coming days. At 4 p.m. today, the typhoon with international name Doksuri, formerly Typhoon Egay, was spotted at 280 kilometers west-northwest of Itbayat, Batanes, outside of the PAR. It is packing maximum sustained winds of 150 kilometers per hour with gustiness of up to 185 kph. Though that typhoon is now outside the PAR, tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 is still up over some areas. These are Batanes, the northern portion of Apayao, Ilocos Norte, and the northwestern portion of Cagayan, including the Babuyan Islands. Typhoon Doksuri also continues to intensify the hanging habagat, which means it will continue to bring monsoon rains over the western part of northern and central Luzon and southern Luzon as well in the next 3 days. Now, this is what I was watching out for. Aside from Doksuri, Pag-asa is also monitoring a tropical depression outside the Philippine area of responsibility, currently at around 1,470 kilometers east of eastern Visayas. It is expected to enter the PAR as a typhoon over the weekend, and once it does, it will be named Falcon, the 6th tropical cyclone this year and the 3rd this month of July.
All right, up next, India's ban on rice exports is triggering panic buying in the West. Should we brace for another rice shortage in the coming months? That we'll discuss with RCBC Chief Economist Mike Ricafort when we return to Go Away.
Welcome back. You're watching the big story here on One News. The ban imposed by the world's largest rice exporter, India, over its exports of non-basmati white rice has triggered panic buying in some countries, including the U.S. Wala pa namang panic buying dito sa Pilipinas, so the question now is, should we be hitting the alarm button?
Kala ko, should we be panic buying?
Well, we don't know yet, but at the moment, experts fear the global prices of the staple could shoot up after India ordered a halt last week to the export of non-basmati white rice, which is its largest rice export category, to bring down local prices there. Officials warn, though, that this move could threaten global food security and further push poor countries towards hunger. You see, India accounts for 40% of the world's rice shipments, with supplies reaching around 140 countries. Last year, India exported a record 22.2 million tons of rice, and around half were non-basmati white rice. Data from the Observatory of Economic Complexity shows that the Philippines was the world's second largest rice importer in 2021, next only to China. India was top 5 in the list of countries where we imported our rice from that year. The first one was Vietnam, followed by Burma or Malaysia or Myanmar, Thailand, and China. Well, to talk more about the impact of India's rice export ban on the Philippines, we have with us on the line RCBC Chief Economist Mike Ricafort. Mike, good to have you tonight. How are you?
I'm fine. Good evening, Regina, and everybody at the Big Story.
Thanks, Mike. A simple question lang for me, which is, what is the impact of this? What will be the impact of this on the Philippines? This export ban in India.
Well, since India accounted for 40% of the total exports of rice worldwide, so the impact would be indirect in the sense that there would be less supply of rice being exported, especially to other countries around the world. So that would definitely lead to reduced global supplies and some uptick in rice prices in the world market. And that would be the indirect impact for the Philippines. But however, just recently, looking at the international rough rice price, it recently eased to 1-year lows. Well, ironically, just a few days ago, it came from two-year highs. So, but the base case has been, well, near 2-year highs recently. Well, because weather conditions that, well, especially drought, reduced rainfall in the region in some ASEAN and Asian countries that reduce production and supplies as well. So that would be the impact, because if there would be some uptick again in world rice prices, the import price of rice by the Philippines would also go up, and the timing, it would be coupled also by the fact that there would be an upcoming El Nino drought in the fourth quarter of this year till the first quarter of next year, because El Nino normally would also reduce rainfall, and with reduced rainfall, that's gonna also reduce output and local supplies of rice. That's on the local production side, and rice per se accounts for nearly 10% of the country's inflation basket. So the impact would be there in terms of some uptick in overall in local rice prices, and that's going to have also some, well, at least some it would lead to some uptick in overall inflation.
Right.
But the thing
Mike?
is, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Mike, we just wanted to get your thoughts on this. We do source our rice imports from a bunch of different countries. I know there's some bidding that goes on here. It's a very tedious process, but the government has already assured our rice supply for this year. So now the question becomes, when would we feel the impact of this rice ban from India? Assuming that, of course, our supply is already sufficient for this year, as per the Agriculture Department. Would it be next year, when the El Nino, of course, is also expected to be stronger than what we are currently experiencing now?
Yeah, that's right, Sean. In recent weeks and months, we also have seen locally some increase in local rice prices. And the impact of that, well, at least we have seen already the easing inflation trend from a 14-year high of 8.7% in January. It has gradually slowed down till, well, the latest data, the 1-year low of 5.4%. So the least that could happen, it would slow down the so-called disinflation or because we're still coming from high base effects. But from the point of view of the consumers, definitely, that already partly accounted for the recent uptick in prices because, well, precisely because just at least 1 to 2 months ago, uh, rice prices worldwide, and even particularly in Asia, just came from 2-year high. So that could have indirectly led also to the uptick in local rice prices because among other factors also, well, we also saw, of course, the increase in the prices of inputs of production in view of the rising
Kulang tayo.
prices. Well, at least, although the pace of price increases have slowed down compared to last year, but that still added to the overall cost of production. So yeah, and for the coming months, yeah, well, for now, uh, inclement weather would also be a risk, especially, well, you have to consider the fact that Cagayan Valley, especially the region 2 provinces, are among the biggest producers of rice in the country. And they have been hit hard with this latest type storm damage by EGAI. Well, as has been reported for the past 2 to 3 days. So that may also have an impact in terms of storm damage, some reduction in output and the supplies, and that would lead to some uptick also, not only in rice but other the major agricultural products from the region too, like corn, also, and other food products from and other agricultural products from northern Luzon.
So, what does this all mean for President Marcos's 20 peso a kilo rice promise? Is that even still a possibility?
Well, for now, well, one of the possible solutions, although this has not yet been discussed, but mathematically, if we look at the import tariff of rice is currently 35%. Under there's this rice tariffication law that has been in place since around 2019 or the year prior to the pandemic. So maybe one possible uh, one way to bring down the price of rice, particularly the imported ones, is to the possibility of maybe reducing that import tariff rate of 35%. But for now, things being as they are in the world market, in the local market, so it's still quite challenging because considering the fact that the farm gate rice of palay is already around near 20 pesos per. And we have to consider, of course, that has to be milled. So the actual retail price of rice would be towards 40 pesos at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? I don't think lowering tariffs, unfortunately, is going to be something that the local farmers will agree with. But for now, we're going to have to leave it there because we're running short on time. But thank you so much for joining us, our CBC Chief Economist, Mike Ricafort.
Thank you so much.
We're going to pause for a quick break, but right after that, one Malaysian firm is planning to invest some 20 million US dollars or over 1 billion pesos to raise cattle here in the Philippines. The details when we return. Keep it here.
You're still watching the big story here on One News.
President Marcos is on his third day of visit in Malaysia, and it looks like business talks are off to a good start. Malaysian dairy company Farm Fresh Berhad is set to invest $20 million to set up cattle breeding for milk production in the Philippines. The company is looking to lease up to 400 hectares of land where 2,000 cows will be raised. 2 locations are being considered, specifically Batangas and Laguna. Farm Fresh hopes to start operations by 2028. Now, Malaysian business leaders have also pledged $285 million worth of investments to the Philippines.
Meanwhile, Senator Rizzo Ontiveros is proposing that the Philippines seek help from the United States in calling out China's aggression in the West Philippine Sea. But the president's super ate, Senator Amy Marcos, has apprehensions. Senator Amy, who chairs the Committee on Foreign Relations, said the move may not be taken seriously. Ontiveros filed a resolution urging the Foreign Affairs Department to raise China's alleged maritime harassment before the UN General Assembly. The 78th UN General Assembly will take place in New York on September.
I also worry that we may not generate the votes necessary. Ang laking kahiyan, pag natalo pa tayo sa General Assembly, sigurado ba tayo mananalo tayo dyan? Baka sa ASEAN lang kulang na yung boto. Mas lalong malulusaw yung ating claim. Kung hindi, naku, Diyos ko, talagang kahihiyan yan.
Now, what does the Senate leadership think about this UN resolution? Senate President Mig Zubiri supports it, saying, quote, hindi tayo papayag na tapakan ng kahit anong bansa. Senator Jingo Estrada and Rafi Tulfo also expressed support. But one of the more senior lawmakers, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, said that it may appear that we are singling out China when there are other claimants like Malaysia and Vietnam. Senator Risa noted, though, that other claimants are not as aggressive as Beijing. The Senate will decide on Monday whether to adopt the resolution, but before that, there will be a closed-door meeting between senators, the DFA, AFP, and other concerned agencies.
Right, before we go, there's still time for our big picture tonight. Now, during the onslaught of Typhoon Egay in northern Luzon, it was not just residents who were greatly affected by the storm, but also animals. What you are seeing now are photos of rescuers bringing residents, including their pets and even livestock, to safety as floodwaters rose in some parts of Lawag City in Ilocos Sur on Wednesday. As mentioned in our previous reports over the past couple days, Ilocos Sur has been greatly affected by Typhoon Egay, causing heavy flooding in several areas in the province. According to Mayor Michael Kion, members of the Department of Public Safety and the local government's search and rescue team responded to the residents of Barangay 27 and 29 who were stranded amid massive floods. These photos should serve as a reminder to us all that when disasters strike, do not leave your animals and your pets behind. I even saw a picture of a pig. It was so cute. And it also did not look as cold as the dogs looked.
But it's hard for me to see, right, that the residents were going back for their animals. Pero yun nga, it's also heartbreaking to see so much flooding hit all these towns.
Especially
right?
those low-lying areas.
Oo.
Remember, Mayor Kion messaged us that he could unfortunately not come on the show because he has to deal with the flooding, even in his own residence.
In his own words,
Yeah.
grabe na, he
Grabe.
said.
Grabe.
All
Right?
caps
So
grabe.
we're hoping that the waters have subsided somehow.
And the rains
in
would
their
stop.
areas, yes.
But there's another
Unfortunately, there is another storm
weather disturbance
around
coming around the
around the
corner.
corner. Yeah.
So we'll see how that one develops. But for now, that's it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.